Hello viewers, welcome to the lecture series of food technology. In today's lecture, I am going to deliver the lecture on processing of cashew nuts. This episode divided into the following 5 sections: introduction, processing, environmental pollution in cashew nut processing, health benefits of cashew nuts, and conclusion. Introduction. Cashew is one of the important tropical crop called as poor man's crop, rich man's food. The cashew nut is a native of Brazil, from where Portuguese travelers took the cashew plant to India. In India, cashew plant first recorded in Cochin by 1578, in Goa by 1598. The crop is grown mainly in peninsular state of India, particularly along the coastal states like Kerala, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa and West Bengal. India processed about 1.18 million metric ton of raw cashew seeds through 3,650 cashew processing industries scattered in many states of country and providing employment to over 500,000 people. The cashew industries in India employed a different methodology for processing. It depends on the variety of raw material, location, technological mechanization and availability of secured energy supply. Processing. There are two commonly followed methods of cashew nut processing, such as steam cooking process and roasting process. In steam cooking process, vegetable oil is extracted from the cashew shell of the seeds, which is used in paint and adhesive industries. Due to the lack of skilled manpower for cutting process of cooked nut and different in taste of nut, many of the industries in India are following roasting process. In the roasting process, thick black smoke is released from the rotating roasting drum called broma chamber through the stack. The smoke generated through this process has irritating odor and it is public nuisance in the neighborhood. Including this, it is also a source of air pollution and wastewater is generated from quenching operation of the roasted cashew nut discharged. Cooking process also discharges wastewater from the steam cooker and emits air pollutants by baby boiler for steam generation and broma heater. Since these industries are small and cottage category units, no conventional and techno-economical cost-effective pollution abatement system. Therefore, it has become necessary to study the entire cashew nut processing industry sector in India to suggest techno-economical feasible environmental standards. Even though the pollution load from individual units is relatively low, the magnitude of pollution problem from the cluster of units is very high. General steps involved in the processing of cashew nuts. The general processing steps involved in the cashew nut processing are drying of freshly harvested raw seed for storage, soaking of seed, steam cooking or roasting, decortication, which means that a removal of outer layer, separation, kernel, that means edible parts of nuts drying, peeling and packing, drying of raw nuts. Sun dried in yards, weight loss may vary from 3% to over 10% depending on time of harvesting and area of origin. The raw nuts after harvest are sun dried for 2 to 3 days to reduce the moisture from 25% to 9% and stored in gunny bag. The raw cashew nut contains the kernel 20 to 30% and peppery seed cost 2 to 3%. Therefore, the remaining 70 to 75% raw nut weight is the shell. Roasting. There are two types of roasting in the process: drum roasting, nuts passed through heated drum where it catches fire for 2 to 3 minutes. Oil roasting, dried nuts conditioned with water passed through hot oil bath by conveyor. In this condition, the nuts come out. Steaming. This method nowadays adopted widely all over India. The dried nuts are steam cooked. Well-dried raw nuts are subjected for steam boiling, which is commonly adopted method of nut conditioning in India. The raw nuts are steamed conditioned about 90 to 100 lb pressure for 25 to 30 minutes and then allowed for 24 hours cooling. Decortications. Decortications either by shelling or cutting. In shelling, roasted nuts have to be shelled by breaking shells with wooden mallet. In cutting, steamed nuts have to be cut with blades mounted on wooden tables. Raw nuts after conditioning and cooling are to be shelled to remove kernels with the help of hand-pedal operated shell cutter. After shelling, the kernel and shell pieces are separated manually. The kernel after shelling will have moisture content more than 10%. Therefore, dry the kernel to moist content about 3.5 to 4.5%. Dry the kernel in hot chamber at 65 to 70 degree centigrade in perforated tray for 6 to 8 hours. After drying, the kernel are kept in moisture chamber for 4 to 6 hours for easy removal of brown skin and minimum broken kernel. Peeling. The brown skin cashew nuts are peeled off and initial grading by holes, pieces and color takes place. The peeling process involved removal of testa from the kernel with the help of sharp knife. Grading. The kernels are graded by Cashew Export and Promotion Council specifications are adopted for grading of cashew kernels. Filling. The graded kernels are vita packed in 25 lbs tins after vacuum and infusing carbon dioxide, or packed in 25 lbs or 50 lbs gas infused flexi packs. Packing. Two 25 lbs tins are packed in a corrugated box, or two 25 lb or one 50 lb flexi packs are packed in a corrugated box. Roasting process. The roasting process of cashew seeds is carried out in a manually rotating open drum of diameter 600 mm and 2.5 meter length with an inclination of axis 15 to 20 degree centigrade to facilitate the flow of the material from inlet to outlet by rotation of the drum and gravity. The drum is placed in a doghouse, means that a cage-like house. Initially, the drum is heated externally by firing about 25 to 30 kg of roasted cashew shell for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once the drum is heated up, the cashew nuts are fed manually through an elevated hopper into the inlet of the hot drum. The drum is rotated manually so that the cashew nuts are removed from inlet to outlet of the drum. Due to the high temperature of the drum, the cashew nut shell liquid in the cashew nut catches fire spontaneously and the nuts are roasted thoroughly the entire length of the drum without any supporting of fuel. Cashew nut cooker. A cylindrical steam cooker with a provision of cashew nut feeding at the top and discharging of cooked nuts from the side near the bottom. Has capacity of holding 4 bags. It contains almost 80 kg each of cashew nut in a batch. Once the cashew nut is loaded, steam from a boiler is introduced into cooker at a pressure of 7 to 8.5 kg per centimeter square. The cashew nuts in the cooker are steam cooked, and when all the nuts are sufficiently cooked, the excess steam starts releasing near the bottom outlet. The steam is injected into the cooker till the steam starts escaping from the outlet mouth of the cooker. This process takes about 10 to 20 minutes time. Then the steam injection into the cooker is stopped and condensed water at the bottom of the cooker is discharged into the container and disposed on ground through specific tank. In cashew nut cooking process in Kerala have different process in steam injection quantity. The steam is injected for about 15 minutes even after the steam starts escaping from the outlet mouth of the cooker. This method consumes more steam. The cooker condensate water is the source of water pollution. The cooked cashew nut are removed from the bottom of the cooker and spread on the floor for cooling. The cooled nuts are sent for cutting sections to cut open and collect the kernel. The total batch time is about 40 to 45 minutes. Usually, the units are provided with a baby boiler and minimum 2 cookers, while one cooker is in cooking operation. The other cooker is in unloading and loading operation. Normally, cooking operation is carried out for 2 to 4 hours in a day, cooking 5 to 10 batches of nuts depending on the production capacity of the units. Kernel drying, also called as broma. The kernel coming from the roasting process as well as cooking process contains a brown cover known as testa over it. To remove testa over the kernel and also control the moisture content in the kernels, they are exposed to prolonged and controlled heating with hot air at 80 to 90 degrees centigrade for about 6 to 7 hours in the chamber. About 5 to 8% of moisture is removed from the kernel in the process. This process is known as broma. Indirect heating of atmospheric air generates the hot air oven hot surface in oven. The broma ovens are fired with cashew shell from roasting process or de-oiled cashew cake from cooking process for about 4 to 6 hours depending on the quantity of kernel to be dried. The flue gases from the oven are discharged by a neutral draft stack of about 13 to 15 meter height. Kerala and Maharashtra state in India, most of the small scale units carried out the broma operation by electric heaters, which consumes large electricity, and the process will be dependent on power supply. The process description and environmental pollution discharge, the yield of various products from cashew processing from both the methods. Next, let us see the environmental pollution in the cashew nut processing. The cashew nut processing requires intensive manpower, generally carried out during 6 to 18 hours only during the daytime. During the process of cashew nuts, the hot gases from the inlet of the drum are discharged into atmosphere by a natural draft stack of about 15 to 18 meter height. The cashew nuts in burning state are discharged at the outlet of the drum and quenched immediately with spray of water to prevent further roasting. The water consumption by quenching process is in the range of 14 to 21 liters per 100 kg of nut roasted. The hash generated from the drum initial firing with roasted shell is sprinkled on the wet nuts to prevent sticking. The quench water is collected in a oil trap and discharged on the ground as wastewater. The water vapor and fumes generated while quenching are discharged by independent short vents connected to the doghouse. In some units, these vents are also connected to the main chimney. The cooled nuts are sent for shelling. The manual feeding of the cashew nuts and the rotation of the drum are so synchronized about 6 to 7 bags of cashew nuts are roasted in an hour. Each bag weighs about 80 kg of cashew nut. The pollution in the steam roasting process, commonly known as cooking process, which consists of a baby boiler followed by a steam cooker where the cashew nuts are cooked with steam. The baby boiler is a hand-stoked fire tube boiler which produces steam at 7 to 8.5 kg per centimeter square. The roasted cashew shell or de-oiled cakes are fed manually about 2 to 3 kg fuel once in 15 to 20 minutes at the bottom of the boiler. The combustion air is drawn through the gate by natural draft stack at the top of the boiler. The flue gases from the boiler are discharged into atmosphere through the stack 12 to 15 meter height. The flue gas emission from the boiler are sources of air pollution. Environmental Standard for Cashew Nut Processing Industries. Environmental standards approved by the Peer and Core Committee of Central Pollution Control Board for cashew seed industry. Pollution Control Board strictly suggests the stack height. It results in better dispersion of sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides and phenolic compounds pollutants into the atmosphere. By implementing the appropriate stack height, the ground level concentration of these pollutants can minimize. Wastewater discharge standards. The wastewater generation from different sources of cashew nut roasting and cooking process are as follows. Quenching operation in roasting process yields 200 liters per day. In this process, 2 to 4 hours of operation in a day. Cooking process yield 70 to 80 liters per day in view of such infrequent nature of wastewater generation. This water with biochemical oxygen demand of 5000 ppm, chemical oxygen demand of 1000 ppm and oil and grease extractable mostly in the bottom of the phenolic compounds at 2000 ppm. The following alternatives are recommended to comply with the following wastewater discharge standard for disposal of land solid waste disposal practices. The use of cashew shell generated especially by roasting process as a fuel has to go through biogasification route to convert into less polluting fuel gas term measure. The hash generated at the bottom of the broma, air heater as well as the steam boiler and excess hash from initial firing of the roasting drum have to be properly condensed using with the necessary precautions so that there are no secondary air emission. The cashew shell or de-oiled cake should not be sold to retail users for domestic and commercial firing purposes due to their obnoxious odor. Cashew nut industry, new and relocation sitting criteria. Even though the pollutant emission load into environment by a single cashew nut unit is low, it has been observed that the total emission load by number of such units in a cluster causes considerable environmental degradation. To avoid the combined effect by the number of units on the environment, the cashew nut processing industries with roasting or cooking process have to be located with the following criteria. 1. Cashew seed processing industry shall be established at least 1 kilometer away from residential area, hospital, schools, public building or place where flammable substances are stores processed. 2. Cashew seed processing industry shall be established 5 km away from notified municipal limits of any town or city or airport. 3. Cashew seed processing industry shall not be constructed within 200 meter from the middle of railway tracks, national highway and state highway and also 50 meter from the middle of the other roads. 4. In normal circumstances, installation of new cashew seed processing industry shall not be allowed in sensitive area notified by the state pollution control boards or pollution control committees under the provision of the national air quality guidelines using coal as fuel. 5. The distance between the cashew seed processing industries should not be less than 500 meters to avoid clustering of cashew seeds processing industry in an area. Next, let us see the health benefits of the cashew nut. First one, prevent cancer. Proanthocyanidins are a class of flavonoids which fight against tumor cells by stopping them to divide further. These proanthocyanidins and high copper content in cashew nuts help fight against cancerous cells and keep you away from colonal cancer. This is one of the major cashew nut benefits. 2. Healthy heart. Cashew contains low fat content when compared to other nuts and that too in the oleic acid from which is a very healthy for heart. There are cholesterol free and the antioxidant present keeps you away from heart diseases. 3. Lower high blood pressure. Cashew nuts lower your blood pressure with the help of magnesium present in them. Fourth one, helps healthy hair. Copper is the mineral which helps your hair get that color. So, if you take cashews which are full of copper content, you can get that black hair that you always wished for. Fifth one, healthy bones. Like calcium, magnesium is also important for bone health, which is the main content in the cashew nuts. 6. Healthy nerves. Magnesium is stored on the bone's surface, which prevents calcium from entering the nerve cells and thus keeps the blood vessels and muscles relaxed. Insufficient amount of magnesium can lead calcium to enter the blood vessels, leading to high blood pressure, migraine, headache, etc. Next, prevent gallstones. Daily intake of cashew nut can reduce the risk of developing gallstones up to 25%. Helps in weight loss. Even though cashew nuts are considered as fats, it contains good cholesterol. So, contrary to popular belief, those who eat cashew nuts at least twice a week gain less weight when compared to those who eat less. Antioxidants, selenium, copper, magnesium, etc. acts as cofactor for many enzymes. Cashew nut also helps in digestion. Cashew nuts help in growth and development of nucleic acid synthesis and digestion. High on vitamins. Cashew nuts are rich in vitamins like riboflavin, pantothenic acid, thiamine, niacin, etc. These vitamins keep you safe from sideroblastic anemia, pellagra, etc. Healthy gums and teeth. As mentioned before, magnesium content present in cashew nuts is very good for bones, so it gives healthy teeth as well as strong gums to hold them. Pleasant sleep. After menopause, these cashew nuts can give you relaxed and pleasant sleep during nights. Free radicals. Cashew nuts helps our body to utilize iron properly and eliminate free radicals which cause health problems. Molecular degeneration. Molecular degeneration is the leading cause of severe vision loss in people over age 60. Cashew nuts have the ability to filter sun's UV rays and protect us from macular degeneration. Conclusion. The cashew tree is a tropical evergreen tree that produces the cashew's seed and the cashew apple. It can grow as high as 14 meters, but the dwarf cashews growing up to 6 meters has proved more profitable with earlier maturity and higher yields. Cashews are not actually nuts but seeds. They are a popular snack and food sources. Cashews, unlike oily tree nuts, contain starch about 10% of their weight. This makes them more effective than nuts in thickening water-based dishes such as soups, meat stews, and some Indian milk-based desserts. Many Southeast Asian cuisine use cashew for this unusual characteristic rather than other nuts. The shell of the cashew nut is toxic, which is why the nut is never sold in the shell to consumers. The general processing steps involved in the cashew processing are drying of freshly harvested raw seeds for storage, soaking of seeds, steam cooking or roasting, decortication, separation, kernel drying, peeling and packing. In a 100-gram serving, raw cashew provides 553 calories, 67% of the daily value in total fats, 36% daily value of protein, 13% of daily value dietary fiber and 11% daily value of carbohydrates. Cashews are rich sources of dietary minerals including copper, manganese, phosphorus, magnesium, vitamin B6 and vitamin K, iron, Potassium, zinc and selenium are also present in significant content. Cashews 100 grams raw contain 113 milligram of beta sitosterol. Although there is a lot of health benefits in the eating of cashew nuts, but don't eat too many at once because of their high fat content. Overconsumption of cashew nuts can cause unwanted weight gain in individuals. Thank you.